So I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Suresh Nanda, who is a serial entrepreneur and chairman the Claridges Group of Hotels. Welcome, sir, to BW Business World, and for this interview. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you. I'm delighted to share this interview with you, and particularly Business World is a very respected publication, and I'm glad to be part of this. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, sir. Sir, I want to start with a quote that I read from one of your earlier interviews, that never be a conformist when it comes to business, but have a distinguished style of conducting business. So I want to come to you and ask you, how would you define your style of business?
You know, you read about businesses and business methods in schools and colleges, but I'm a person who is an ex-military man.
Right.
You know, I was 15 years of my early life post-school in various defense establishments. Right. So I didn't have the pleasure of having a formal business education. Mm-hmm. So I jump into every problem with a military state of mind, that this is not a battle, but an opportunity which has to be overcome.
Right.
And therefore, you put in all your resources and all your mental faculties. But the greatest secret to my way of doing business is to win the trust of your customer.
Right.
If you have ever promised something, or even if you have not promised, but he thinks you've promised, which happens in many cases, that right. Somebody thinks, "Arey, tumne bataya tha."
Right.
I go out of my way never to let down anybody's expectations who I have dealt with. Right. And I think that has been the biggest secret, that,
right.
You know, keep to your word.
Right.
And
right.
9 times out of 10, it works to your benefit. 1 time out of 10, you're not with a person with the same philosophy of doing business. Then you lose it, but then you get on with it and say, so what? Yeah, 90% success rate is a pretty good rate.
Right, absolutely. So,
yeah.
As an entrepreneur and a globally recognized hotelier, what would you call the defining factors of the tremendous success that you have seen over the years?
You know, the hospitality industry was, again, something I was never trained for. I became a non-resident Indian in 1984. Right. That's almost, more than 40 years ago.
Right.
And I've been living abroad, and I picked up some of the, and I was a very frequent traveler. I saw what was happening in hotels worldwide. Mm-hmm. The Claridges Hotel in Delhi was on the block with the High Court of New Delhi.
Right.
And I submitted a bid without knowing anything about hoteliering. And since I had read about it, to my utter surprise, I got a call that from the High Court that you've been selected. You're the highest bidder. And I came and signed the contracts, paid the bills. And I walked in to find Claridges was in such a dilapidated state that one had to get down and bring it to one of the top hotels in the capital of India, which is what it deserves. We have the best location probably in the whole country for a hotel. And it has also got an aura of being a colonial hotel, with a heritage which a few other hotels have. So the idea was then to build on that heritage and not to try to modernize it too much like many others have done. Mm-hmm. As a result, we have developed many loyal, repeat customers who wouldn't go to any other hotel if they came to New Delhi.
Right.
And those are the people we have stayed in touch with. And fortunately, everybody does appreciate it, and they do give us recognition for not being purely a money-making organization, but service before self
Right.
was a motto of Boy Scout when I was in school. But I think we've kept that in the hotel industry as well.
Right.
The service must come first, and keep your customers happy. Maintain your commitments and promises, which we've done always.
Right. Sir, if we look at the last few months, especially last 8 to 9 months, businesses across categories have been facing challenge because of COVID
Yes.
crisis. How has your group dealt with this unimagined crisis?
Yeah, COVID is a kind of a disease which was thrust on everybody in the world. Now, the issue was, how do you tackle something? And it's an illness which nobody knew why it happens, what is the reason behind it, and what can you do to avoid it. Everybody says maintain social distance and
Right.
wear a mask.
Right.
But wearing a mask and maintain social distance cannot be the final answer.
Right.
We have to find something a little bit better. People are talking about developing vaccines, etc. But God alone knows, put a little more chemical in your body. Is that going to be the long-term cure? I'm not sure.
Right. Right. Right.
In the hotel industry, my instructions were, and which we followed, is keep it totally clean, have a method of checking every one of our employees almost on a daily basis that nobody developed any symptoms of any cold or fever,
Right.
and have a regular COVID tests done.
Right.
And if anybody shows an indication, we are saying, I think you go home, relax, only come back when you're, and we give him the medical treatment so that he does recover. And the guests have appreciated that of all the hotels
Right.
that they have been to in the city, probably ours is the most hygienic and disinfected hotel. And that is why I think our occupancy levels, like last week we had an occupancy of 80%. Can you imagine?
That's huge.
And I think the next best in the city would be about 30%. So it shows the confidence level that what we are doing must be
Right.
what the customers want, and we are doing that.
Right. As we move into a festive season, the deep end of this festive season, and with New Year coming up, what does it mean for the hospitality industry in these times?
You know, we are not seeing a jump in occupancy levels because people are afraid to travel. You know, even sitting in an aircraft, you're never sure.
Right.
If one person in the aircraft has an illness, everybody could get it. You know, you're in a confined space for a few hours.
Right.
So travel is reduced, and people in the same city don't go to hotels. You know, they may go out for a meal or something, but they don't go and occupy the rooms. And that is why, for us, it's of huge satisfaction that we are getting a occupancy of something like 80% on certain days. And that is because I think more and more people in their own city saying, let us go for a Claridges experience for a few days. You know, we have some of the most iconic restaurants in the city, like the Dhaba, everybody knows, the Pickwicks, our Sevilla, the Mediterranean restaurant, which people have said is the most romantic or the best Mediterranean food in the whole country. So the comfort levels, the hygiene, and the good food all combined, and also the welcoming nature of our staff. I mean, they do welcome anybody, any guests who come. They've been trained to know their first name and so on, and welcome them. They know from the computers when they were last here, and say, sir, glad we haven't seen you for the last 5 months. Somebody wonders how the hell would they know?
Right.
But it is all technology which helps you to learn all this. And we do go to that extra time to learn all that, so that somebody coming feels a little special.
Right. So as a business group, you also have been very aggressive on the international front, and recently You signed an agreement with Dubai Investments as well. Tell me, on the international front, what are some of the new things that you're planning in terms of expansion?
The agreement we signed with Dubai Investments was in the technology space for
Right.
e-procurement.
Right.
Dubai Investments is a $6.5 billion group. They have about 75 companies in their group.
Right.
And they often buy from the same supplier from different companies at different prices.
Right.
And they may be buying the same product for, somebody's buying 5 tons, another group buys 10 tons, another group buys, 15 tons. But if they combine it all and they tell any supplier, I want 150 tons, you can get huge quantity discounts.
Right.
And our software also eliminates the middleman from all these transactions.
Right.
So a company of that nature, which probably buys $2.5 billion of item from the global market, if they can save up to 15-20% using our software, which is one of the most advanced software in the world.
Right.
Many state governments in India are using that, and the government of Oman is using it. Dubai is now using it, and we are about to sign something in Bahrain. So we have gone international with something which we've developed to a very high level of technology.
Right.
Which will be the pride of any country in the world.
Great, wonderful. And in the hospitality, you have forayed into Dubai. Are there plans to move beyond it, new geographies?
I am getting on in life, and my children are not that excited about the hospitality industry. They are more wanting to be in the technology field. So what we have. I don't think we are going to expand much more in the hospitality industry. It needs so much of my own time and attention to make sure that the quality is maintained, that every customer is happy. Often I myself will walk up to somebody sitting in a restaurant and saying, how do you like the food? And they think I'm another guest, not till they say, yaar, ye dhabe ka khana great hai yaar, and all that. And it gives me so much pleasure to hear such. And the dhaba has become a world famous restaurant also. Even talking to people in New York or London, when I said Claridges Hotel, they say, oh, is that where dhaba is? It's become
right.
So these are all things, but I think we made a few iconic hotels. One is here. Then I have the Taj Hotel in Dubai.
Right.
And then we have one in Surajkund here in Delhi, and we have one in small hotel in Mussoorie.
Right.
Which we are managing. So by nature, by background, I'm not a hotelier. I've no training in that. It was more of an investment, but I think the future is in high tech, artificial intelligence, my e-procurement, which I'm doing, which will become a leader in this country.
Right.
And I think high tech is the way to go forward.
Right. So when you say high tech, right, you have e-procurement. Are you planning new entities, new enterprises in technology? Are there anything in
we have been approached for subjects like artificial intelligence, for security, facial recognitions,
right,
and for cyber security. This is another big problem in the corporate world now, or even in the governments, that whatever they thought was secure, somebody is able to enter and get all your data. Data is now the new gold, as they call it.
Absolutely.
And we are developing ways that you will be able to, whatever data you have is your data, and nobody else can, infiltrate into that.
Right.
And that is going to be the greatest contribution to national security.
Right.
And I think I'm working on that, and I think in a probably a few months, we will have some demonstrable solution to offer.
Right. That's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Sir, I also want to know that having achieved the heights of success in across businesses, and I mean everything you've achieved, everything great success. What drives Mr. Nanda, and what is the vision for the group from here on?
it's it's like a mountaineer. Once he climbs one peak, he
Right.
says, which is the next higher one I can climb? And ultimately, you have to climb Mount Everest to be recognized.
Right.
So I think in whatever field I have entered, I want to be the number one in that field. If I mean not globally, but at least in the city I am in, let me try to be the best in that, so that if people are associating with me or with an organization I deal with, they know that there is a certain level of service and quality they can expect.
Right.
And so far it's worked, and I'm sure I will continue with that aim in mind.
Right. I have two more questions. So hospitality has also seen before COVID also a lot of changes, with the coming of homestays and other things. Where do you see the hospitality industry going in terms of growth? What are the broad challenges the sector will be overcoming or beset with, in your view?
Hospitality is dependent a lot on tourism,
Right.
and tourism dependent on travel. Travel is going to be restricted in the years to come. People are traveling only for business, for recreations, etc. The traveling is reduced to 5% of what it used to be.
Right.
Now, with that reduction, as I said earlier, people in the same city don't stay in the hotels.
Right.
So if less people travel, the hospitality industry, the hotels particularly, will suffer. Its airlines have suffered even more than hotels. And many airlines in the world are going bankrupt. A few hotels are in the market because they cannot service the debts. Fortunately for me, Claridges is free of any debt. So as a result, even if we lose some money, we can survive. But I know if we had huge debts, we would also have been, up for a sort of bankruptcy situation.
Right.
So we will keep going, and we'll find ways to resolve. But we are not in a distressed situation, because having debt today is the worst killer for any business.
Absolutely. So my final question is about being a successful entrepreneur, and in India, wherein we see a whole lot of people getting into their own small businesses and trying to scale up. What would be your advice to budding entrepreneurs about scaling and building a successful enterprise?
Any business is a product, and you have to do your planning and see that there's a market for it.
Right.
You can't put something in the market unless somebody's going to buy it.
Right.
I know many people say, hey, there's a wave, this is making money, so let me jump into it. They don't know head or tail of that business,
Right.
and they do jump into it. I know when I got into hotels, I didn't know head or tail. We went through the first 5 years sort of losing money every day and wondering why the hell did I ever get into it. But over time, then you learn, and you find people smarter than yourself.
Right.
And that has been the secret. I always found people who knew the business, that particular business, much better than I knew. And therefore, hire the best talents and pay them good wages, and people should feel proud and happy to work in an organization such as the one that we are trying to build. And
Right.
I think that has been our motto, that anybody who works with us should always go home feeling with a smile on their face that it's been such a pleasure to be associated with such an organization.
Right. Wonderful words and extreme pleasure talking to you, sir. On what a great day. Happy Diwali to you.
Thank you, Ruhail.
And
And
hopefully
happy Diwali to you too.
would like to meet you in person and do another interview. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I look forward to seeing you. You have a lovely smile on your face too.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.